Alex. How's it going?
Look at you. Hey.
Hi. Sorry, I last time I used Zoom, I was on a meeting and I didn't realize I could change it until now. Hold on.
No, the background looks great.
Should I keep it? Do you want me to keep it?
It makes you look so professional.
Cool. All right, I'll keep it.
How's it
Well, free
going?
promo for them. It's going well. I'm actually back in Arizona. So with my job, I can go between like Arizona and New York. So I'm really grateful for that. My mom's like here in Arizona, so we're just spending some time
Oh,
together. They're actually doing the floors downstairs. So if you can hear that, let me know. I can move.
no, I can't. I don't hear
Okay.
anything.
But yeah, how are you? Happy New Year.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, Happy New Year to you too. Your your presence, your aura, your glow, your energy, it's totally different.
Oh, geez, thanks. Yeah, I'm not, it's crazy. Like, the minute I got the job, I lost like 5 pounds from just like the relief of stress. And
Wow.
I just like, I feel very, I don't know, a big sense of like belonging. And it's given me like a lot of confidence, like, especially after everything that had happened. So, but yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, a lot's happened.
yeah,
And it's it's been a hot minute. So, um I, I could start filling in the pieces of the puzzle,
sure.
but I want to make sure that I'm not messing anything up. So you just graduated,
Yeah,
right?
May of last year.
You're a Zoomer,
A
right?
Zoomer, yeah. It
Um,
was my P2 year, I think, that it started happening.
uh-huh. And you went into residency. What kind of residency was it?
It was just a general PGY1 hospital residency.
And did I guess correct me if I'm wrong, and every school's different, but
Hmm.
it still seems to me that students are taught that if you want to be a good pharmacist and you want to get one of the good jobs, then you need to do a residency.
I kind of still feel like that. I think with like fellowship kind of coming into the mix with post-grad options, it's definitely like kind of given people a little bit more perspective on like what they might want. But at the time that I was in school, fellowship was like not really something that they talked about too much, but residency was definitely something that was like, oh, you should get like your IRB certification, you should do all of like your like presentation skills, like they should all be good by this time because by the time you get to residency, like you're going to be doing so much of that. So it
Hmm.
kind of was like integrated into like the curriculum kind of. And I think it is always just that whole thing like, oh, if you don't want to work in retail, then just do residency. It's like your best option to get like a hospital job. But
So
I have a lot of, yeah,
retail was talked about, but more so if you don't want to do retail.
yeah. Yeah, they pushed a lot of like the clinical pharmacist role, kind of like having us practice in like a collaborative practice, like in a hospital. And then obviously like our appies and stuff and ippies were pretty focused on like, oh, you're gonna spend like this much time in a hospital, so you should maybe like get used to it.
Interesting. Were you pretty sold on doing like residency from the beginning?
Yeah, from like before I even got into school, I
Really?
wanted to do it. Yeah. Just because, again, it was just like that whole, you don't want to work in a CVS or a Walgreens like your whole life, then like maybe try and like compete for this spot that can get you a job like in a higher position that might pay a little bit more. And that also like
Mm.
they do acknowledge that it's not the best work-life balance, which is interesting to me. But
Did you see that post that I made?
which one?
I made a post like 3 months ago. I want to say it was inspired by you.
Oh, the residency thing. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew I was going to catch flack, and it was so
Hmm.
interesting how the majority of people who argued against me were residency directors.
Hmm. I figured
Like,
that.
just people who were like, "Oh, well, it is wrong for people to quit." And the typical um dogma is, well, you've ruined the chances for someone else. And like what a um use them and forget them kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Like they're people, you
Hmm.
know? And it's
It's like,
like,
oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was shocked to see just the mentality
Hmm.
that came from people. And I understand their point of view. I
Absolutely.
just disagree politely.
Yeah.
I
I
tried to
mean,
I tried to do my best. Sorry, go
no,
ahead.
you did a great job mediating that conversation too, just because I think people do forget like this is like any other job, you know, like this wasn't like pushed on by my school, like it's not sponsored by my school. Like I took on this job like a regular job. You know, like,
Mm,
I applied and like I interviewed like every other client and or every other like applicant. You know, sometimes it just doesn't work out. I think
mm,
I dealt with a lot of guilt of like leaving because I knew of that. Like I knew that it was gonna affect my co-residents. I knew it was gonna affect like my program, and I knew it was gonna affect like my relationship with like ASHP and just like in general, like I guess the hospital that I was at. But I still feel like there's not a lot of empathy there, especially with like gosh, like after COVID, I think everybody realizes how important like your mental health is along with your physical health. And you know, with such short time that we're here, like why prolong like a pain that is inevitably like not going to be good for you? Or
mm.
like why stay in like a toxic environment if it's not going to be good for you? And I think that's just like every other job. But I totally get it. Like it is
You know,
so
I'm sorry. I gotta share this. It just
yeah.
reminded me of like marriages from the early like 1900s,
Yeah.
right? Like, well, he only beats you on Saturdays,
Yeah.
after he drinks too much. Like, just stick it out for the family. Why you gotta complain,
Yeah.
right? Why,
Only a little
like,
bit.
just stick it out for the children. I mean, obviously there's now I'm just kind of like maligning, that viewpoint, and I'm being a little bit critical. But
Mhm.
and no one's gonna ever claim to, with like those who quit residency, which by the way, any academics listening should be studying why people are quitting, because it's gonna help fix our whole profession. But
Yeah.
it's the same kind of idea of like, oh, we're not toxic. You're the one who's weak,
Yeah.
right? Or you can't handle it. You're
Yeah.
not good enough. And we already have enough problems in our profession. Like, we don't need that one.
Yeah. And I mean, it just reflects kind of like the expectation of this is kind of where your boundaries with work and life and like just, you know, your own personal like ability to do good work and take good care of your patients. Like it just kind of becomes blurred. I don't necessarily feel like every program is like this, but I think it really reflects on like the department that chooses to have like the residency. Like if that department is not doing well and they don't have the preceptors or they don't have the time or they don't have the staff to like fully support a resident, then
Mm,
you have to like not just blame the resident, obviously. Like you can work through it, doesn't mean that it's good for you in the long run. And I don't know, with everything, it's just like you kind of have to reflect on like what is the environment that we're giving our pharmacists, like how well can they take care of patients in this way? Because me working like
yeah.
55, 60 hours within like 5 days is like not going to be good for my patients. Like, you know, not taking a lunch, standing up for like 14 hours straight is not going to be good for your patients. Like, it's not good for anybody. So I don't know. I think it just needs to be like addressed. Like, it's not the people. Like you're in healthcare. You should look at the people that are working. You should look at the people that are providing healthcare. Like it's just kind of weird. Like what was expected of me at the time that wasn't necessarily, I don't know. I guess when you do the interviews and you ask for like the residents' feedback at the time, like they're not going to be that honest with you. So like especially with the work-life balance stuff, they're like, "Oh, you can do it. It'll be fine. Like you'll get through it." And it's like that's not the best answer that I really wanted to hear going into this like year-long, I don't know, this huge chunk of my life that I like moved across the country for. Like it just really
Mm.
was weird. So I don't know.
Yeah, you made a hard decision to stop. Even when you mentioned like ASHP, and this is not a dig on them at all, but I'm sure you've now feel ostracized, right, from the work relationships. And
Yeah.
I guess I have to say, like, you have such chutzpah, balls, cojones,
Yeah,
grit.
thank you.
I think grit is the politically correct term.
Cojones is so fun though.
Yeah,
I'll
and
take that
it,
one.
yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun word. But you really do, because when I was a resident. And when I got my first job, I was such a pushover. I mean, I dealt with some bullying and I didn't have a backbone. I felt like, oh, my livelihood is on the line and I need to do everything I can to save it from, other people outside of my control. And and I'm sure it that by ending this now it could put you in a position where for the rest, like no one's going to want to touch me, right? No one's going to want to hire me because I did this. Clearly that's not the case.
Yeah, we're happy to report it's not the case. But it is like, I felt like, I don't know, like there's so many studies about mental health with like residents, like medical and like pharmacy residents, and just kind of like the high suicide ideation and like just really bad anxiety from kind of schooling and just like the residency in general is like you
Hmm.
feel like you've really put in everything. You put your whole life into this. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even get through residency. Like they're not gonna hire me. Like no one's gonna like look at my resume. No one's gonna like even consider me because I quit. But I just, I don't know, like I just kind of wanted to risk it because I don't think my heart was there anymore. And I was so like strong-headed, and I'm so strong-headed just in general. Like I just like when I want something, I want it, and when I don't want something, I really do not want it. Like my body will resist it. And
Yeah.
I took that as a weakness at first, but I also then kind of reframed it like I know what I deserve. I have worked so hard. Like I looked at my resume, like I was telling you when I was redoing my resume, it was like I was so scared to like put it out there because I didn't feel like I had anything that would show that I had experience or that I worked hard or anything because of like my lack of experience and my lack of like a completion of residency. But then I was like pulling it all together and I was like, wow, like I worked like four internships when I was in school. Like, and I worked another job too. And I did these committees and I went to these events and stuff. And it was like, I'm
Mm.
not, I'm not in a bad place. Like, I'm okay. I'm really proud of like the
Yeah.
path that I've taken. And now this is just like another part of it. I just realized like I I want something else. There's no way that these are my only two options. There's no way that like my mind, the way that it works right now, like doesn't have a place to belong. It doesn't fit in anywhere here. So like there must be nowhere for me. That was a dumb thing to think at the time.
Yeah. Well, our minds are really bad at running our lives. They think that they're constantly protecting us
Yeah.
and feeding us good ideas, but when I first connected with you, I felt that perspective. I felt that kind of weight of the decision that you made and how to get into it. Um, and is this even worth doing? Should I just take a retail job to like figure out things? And I think that the message that I hope everyone walks away from hearing from you is like, um, it's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't do a fellowship, you didn't do a residency, you didn't work for 5 years as a clinical pharmacist.
Yes, keep going.
You didn't work as a professor.
Yep.
Um, I don't know. You didn't I don't think you did anyway. You weren't a part of like any major association or did any major publications or projects.
Not outside of like the residency and outside of school, like nothing that
Right.
I went out of my way to do, no.
And despite all of that junk,
Mhm.
you got a medical science liaison job.
Yeah, clinical liaison, yeah. Pharmacogenomics clinical liaison is my title.
Well, it for me it fits within the bucket.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, sure, it doesn't have the title, but it's like the most heavily
Title
marketed job out
valid.
there. And you're remote.
I'm remote. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. I think it's like what a lot of people want. Again, after
It's
COVID,
what
it's like
everyone wants.
I know where my values are. It's like not
Mm.
wasting away
A
from my family.
true Zoomer. Way to go. Be you.
If you
Um,
can, why not? If there is a
um,
will, there's a way. And if there's Wi-Fi, there's a way.
so we got started in the workshop, what, like October, late October, I think.
Yeah.
And then we
It
met
was
one on
like,
one in November.
yeah.
Now, if I recall correctly, there was something like you either applied to something, didn't get chosen, or was it that you just reached out to the company? How did that
Um,
work?
so I was like applying to a lot of stuff at the time. This one was like an easy apply, actually. It was like kind of funny the way it came up. And I was like, oh, this is like perfect. Like genomics is when I, took some time and figured out what I wanted, I was like, pharmacogenomics is the future. Precision medicine is the future. I need to find a way in here. And I easy applied, and then the founder and CEO messaged me back and he was like, "Hey, I want to set up a call to talk about your experience." And I was like, "Great." I was like, "I can't wait." Like it was one of like the few responses that I was getting back at the time.
Hmm.
And then he just like left me on red for like 2 weeks. And so then I reached back out and I was just like, "Shoot, I should just like ask, like I really like this company. I really like the mission that they had." The more I looked into them. And I was just like, yeah, can you just, I know maybe I'm not the best choice for this job in particular, but I love your work and I love like this, this part of healthcare. Like if you have any opportunities in the future, like please keep me in mind. And then he messaged back. He was like, yeah, like let's just talk real quick. Like I'll talk to you about like our company and like, just kind of I don't know. I think he was just trying to be friendly, honestly, because
Hmm.
I seemed interested. But yeah, then we ended up having a conversation and then another one and then it became like
For
my
real.
contract. Yeah.
Sometimes when I think about career stuff, I think it's oddly similar to dating.
Okay, yeah.
And what I've been telling people lately is like, if you approach the job market like a desperate single person, like
Mm,
you're not going to attract the right kind of opportunity, right? You'll take anything, any warm body would be fine. But in this case, like after we worked on a little bit of like empowering you and identifying what
yeah.
made you valuable, you did such a professional job at telling the CEO, right? That was the CEO of the
Yeah.
company. Yeah, you did a great job at saying to him, like, you're busy. Don't feel like you have to respond, but I love what you do. Keep me in mind if you have a position in the future. Like, mwah, chef's kiss. Like, what a way to attract an opportunity,
And I
you
meant
know?
it too. I really did. Like, I really did mean like I do love your work. Like I do want to be considered. And yeah, I feel like it is easy to come off kind of like s- I don't want to say desperate,
Please.
but like
Yes. Oh, I could
if you don't
quote you
believe
what
it.
people say.
Yeah,
You have a job available and I would like to talk to you about it. Like, what? Get
sure.
out of here. What are you, so weirdo? What is it like? Day in the life, remote clinical liaison.
So, our company is actually in Seattle, and I'm in like New York for most of the time. So it's actually pretty nice to get to work out in the morning, get to make my breakfast, kind of. I've been doing my meditation, my journaling, and like just keeping myself really strong mentally,
Hmm.
especially with all the changes and stuff, because it has been like a lot of changes. And then I'll hop on a few calls. So my role is to kind of check in with our clients, just see if there's anything that needs to be adjusted on like their pharmacogenomics report, or if there's any support that we can give them, like any updates to new research or new guidelines. Any, a lot of them, they kind of work with like certain populations, so we can give them supporting research to and writings to like support the pharmacogenomics utilization for those patients. And then some of it is like talking to you and talking to groups, a pharmacist specifically. I'm really lucky because I think pharmacists are really like trailblazing the pharmacogenomics precision medicine side of healthcare. And there's a lot of people that, need the lab and they need like the support for it to run their consulting firms. So I
Right.
talk to a lot of people like that. And then I also kind of reach out to clients, like if like I said, it was remote, but if I can work with people in my area and it's easier for me to check up on them and just I kind of like going around. Like I like talking to people and just kind
Yeah.
of see like where they are in identifying patients that might need pharmacogenomics. Like maybe they don't know which patients would benefit from it the most. So we can give them like a handout or we could give like a little talk about like, hey, these ones would be great clients. Like these would be great people that, we can help you with like the prior authorization part. We can help you with like the billing side of everything. Like, let us
Mm.
do that. Same with like any like physicians if they ever need any help or they have any questions about any technical support, or again, just like the research, then we can give that to them. And
Mm,
then I also do medical writing and
yeah.
some of like the database building. And we've been going through a lot of like I mentioned, like Medicare and stuff. So our MolDX, like submissions and everything, I go through those. I make sure that,
Yep.
everything kind of makes sense from like my education and just reading through and making sure that we have, a really solid submission for whoever we're sending it to. Because we also do clinical trials as well. So it's a lot of that. I'm trying to think of my other hat.
You're basically medical affairs. Like you're running the whole department,
Basically,
it
yeah.
sounds like.
And I also do content creation now. So I do like little
MedComms.
videos. Yeah, yeah, it's actually really fun. The first one, I think it took me like 4 hours to film. It was like 5-minute video, but it was hard. And it was like a lot of learning curve, and it's like learning
Yeah.
curve, learning how to use like the programs and stuff on my computer and just like editing and stuff. But it's been fun.
And you're getting paid a pharmacist salary.
Pharmacist salary. Thank goodness.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. I mean, this is
Yeah.
so like Cinderella story.
Kind of, right? I love
Right.
that.
I mean, not only are you Cinderella, but you're also Prince Charming, you know?
I love that
Like
more.
you were at like a really dark point in your career that I feel like many people would take with them as a scar, and not bounce back from. Because I've talked to people who've quit residencies before. And they do the typical thing. They get like a retail or hospital job, working in staff, but you leaned hard into it. You figured out what you wanted to do. You got it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
The end. Happily ever after.
Well, yeah, right. No, no more. No more story. Wait, there's Cinderella too, but it didn't do as good, right?
I don't think they ever do. Shrek 2, though.
That's true. Yeah, Shrek 2 was, I think, it's an excellent movie. Because it introduced the Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, which if you
Oh,
haven't seen it, oh my gosh, I
I have
cried.
not. I will see it.
Oh my gosh, so good. There's a therapy dog in it. I mean, it's
Oh.
fantastic. It's so cute. So we were chatting back in November, and then when did you start interviewing for this job?
Beginning of December.
Beginning of December.
Yeah.
And then you had a few conversations, and then the job offer happened.
Probably like a week and a half, 2 weeks after.
Oh
So like
wow,
it was
they
pretty quick. Yeah.
yeah, they're a small company. They can move
Your
fast.
startup. Yeah. And that was
Um,
actually one of the things that I wanted to thank you for, because I never even thought of like working for a startup like that. I would kept looking at like, oh, Eli Lilly, like, like huge companies. And then I was like, this is like perfect for me actually, because I get so much experience from this because I have to wear so many hats. And again, yeah, like they're happy to have people that are with the mission and like that totally believe in it. And if
mm,
you have like that belief, I guess like in our company, like you can put it anywhere. You can put it medical writing, you can do it in client
yeah.
relations, you can do it in like, the admin stuff, whatever it is. But yeah.
And now you get to take it with you wherever you go.
Yeah, and I could take it with me. I'm excited. I hope to grow with the company. I have a lot of ideas and like our founder's really open to them just because, it's new. It's a baby. So we get to grow it together and it's really exciting.
Congratulations. That's so
Thank you.
cool. If you could go back in time to that dark chapter of your life, what
Mhm.
do you wish you could tell Gabrielle in that moment?
I could say this whole meta part of it being like, oh, I wouldn't change anything because I wouldn't have gotten to the point I was here. But I think I should have told myself like, and you said it too, like just be nicer to yourself. Like you're not going to thrive when you're just beating yourself up all the time if you like keep talking to yourself like this. And it really was like the self-talk that kind of got me out of it. I think I really beat myself up. I cried like every day during the residency, after the residency until I got the job and everything. I was just like really depressed, like honestly, because like you said, like it just feels like kind of sunk costs. Like I didn't
Yeah.
have anywhere to go. So that on top of like me being mean to myself already, it was just like ridiculous. That didn't need to happen. That wasn't necessary for my growth. So I would just tell myself like, chill out. Like obviously it's gonna work out. Be nice to yourself. It'll be fine. probably take a little bit more. I was taking myself very seriously back then as well. So
I remember. Yeah.
yeah, I think once I kind of loosened up a little bit, it was obvious, like especially in the energy that you give out. I know it seems kind of like, you know, voodoo, not voodoo. What's the word I'm looking at? Like JoJo kind of.
Moj, yeah, voodoo science,
Yeah.
hocus pocus nonsense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But
it doesn't make sense to pharmacists. And I I hated motivational speakers as a kid. Like I always thought they were full of it, you know. But now that I practice and I've been coaching for over 10 years, and it always comes down to perspective, just how you see things.
yeah.
Because what you were constantly telling yourself was going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're a hot piece of garbage, no one wants you. Then yeah, no one is going to want you if you keep
Yeah,
thinking that way.
exactly.
But we're trained to not think that way. You know,
Yeah.
we didn't live up to the expectations of what our teachers wanted for us, and so we're a disappointment. So why would I ever try to be something as illustrious as a clinical liaison, you know? Like way to go. You broke the habit
Yeah.
and here
I
you
mean,
are.
it still comes back every so often,
Oh,
but
yeah, sure.
obviously, but I think it's good. I think it's good to kind of gauge like the amount that I was talking to myself. Like I can really acknowledge that like now it's like very little in comparison. And it really
Yeah.
is like just kind of finding stuff that works and what doesn't work. For everybody there's like things that work and for someone else it's not going to work. It's just like really trying that out for yourself. And that's kind of what I did with like school and stuff and this whole residency experience. I'm kind of just taking it as like this didn't work out. So let's try something else that, will. And I don't know. I kind of like hated the whole boomerism where it's like, just stick it out. It'll make you better. Like, it'll make you stronger. Like, it'll, I don't know. You just like have to stay just
Mm.
because, like, for
Yeah.
loyalty or something. I don't know. Not for us, not for the Zoomers.
No. But the thing about your generation, statistically, what's really interesting is that your generation is the we'll do or die. As long as I'm remote, I'll go down with the sinking ship.
Honestly,
As long
maybe
as I'm
I'm wrong.
how does one guy say it? I think he says like as long as I'm in front of a computer and in a closet with the door locked from the outside or inside. Yeah, it's such a peaceful thing to hear from you. Like
Hey.
I'm at ease now for you, and I feel so good about it. So thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for helping. I honestly, yeah, like I had no clue where to start. Like when I had talked to Jill and I was just like, "Hey, I know you did a fellowship. Like I have no clue where I'm going." And she's like, "Talk to Alex. Like he's such a good friend and he's so much good advice." And it really did. Like you really like gave me like the building blocks to kind of like present myself in a really good light, like help me see like areas that I could really look into because I didn't know that like medical affairs was a thing. I didn't know like the other six sectors of like pharma was a thing. So it's been a great ride.
And you're just getting started.
Just getting started. Exactly. Yeah.
Any feedback for me on how the process went?
I wish I used more of the materials, I think, like sooner on. Like I wish I wish I went out of my way before like some of the like the one-on-one that we had. Like I wish I maybe knew not exactly, but I wish I kind of had like some timelines or like some idea of what I wanted a little bit more before that
Mm.
because I think we're kind of like hashing it out. But again, that is like valuable within itself.
It
Um,
is. And I think pharmacists really struggle with the concept of like exploration. You
oh
know,
my gosh, yeah.
sometimes they come to us and they're like, I just want an answer. Just tell me what to do. Just tell me
Yeah.
the thing that will make me happy. But sometimes the messy middle is a great place to get to learn and to see what's
Hmm.
out there and to explore. But that imply like that mentality kind of implies like there's a right and wrong answer here.
Yeah.
Okay. And clearly I'm in the wrong because I don't like what I'm doing right now. And I hate being wrong. And whatever I have to do next has to be right.
Yeah.
Or I'm dead. Or or you're dead. Or
That's like the pharmacist like mantra though. Like if you don't do right, they're dead. Like
Exactly. Yeah, it's so sad.
Yeah. We just can't apply it to ourselves. Like, it's okay. Things pass. Things happen.
Yes.
You
Keep
grow.
this mindset going.
Really grateful for it.